Verse letter to Christopher Hitchens. Dear Mr. Hitchens, I owe you my gratitude. You caught me young, just young enough to learn that politics and religion are worth being rude about at the dinner table, and not to wait one's turn, so long as one avoids the kind of feud best reserved for the evil and the crazy. Bill Clinton, Kissinger, Khomeini. Yes, that was the first of many things your eloquence inspired me to esteem. Keeping stum in an argument rings false when a question of principle means speaking up's a duty. Silence brings a good deal of wisdom, but boredom too, an effect inapplicable to you. Sometimes I wonder how you pulled it off. Of course you went to Oxford, but then a third hardly betokens success, and you weren't a toff, and you were much too wayward to join that herd of Lenin's useful idiots who doffed their caps at every monster in fatigues, whose every word the true believers believed. Maybe that was it. Your atheism bestowed you doubtless, or do I mean doubtfully, with a certain star status. Your schisms were those of the left-wing revolutionary, your passions always tinged with skepticism of the man in cloth, the salt-and-pepper beard of pontificating imams, the religious weird. And yet, the title of one of your collections, no man or woman of faith was ever barred on that account from the orbit of your affections. People, combined especially with hard liquor, received equally your attention, so long as they were willing to entertain your infamous familiar refrains about how God, to parrot Randolph Churchill, was all things considered a massive shit. You lived for it. The demagogic thrill of scoring for the audience a hit on circumcision or Ezekiel. They say the Bible Belt's never been drier. You blew in like Zarathustra's town crier. And what a voice to cry with, a larynx soaked, quite literally, in Johnny Walker Black. A voice to make one laugh until it croaked it, and the tongue fell still, never to come back. Thank goodness for recordings. Although I'd hoped to hear you live, we have you on demand. I met you on the internet. Charmed. Now I see I'm skirting close to death. Esophageal cancer's quite a bitch. Swallow, wince, call the nurse, draw breath. But capitalism downfall? Seriously, Hitch? Anyway, poetic. You claimed the left left you and not the other way around. Confronted by Saddam, it made no sound. At any rate, you're gone, your absence a raw deal for we who have some sympathy with all that the Enlightenment stood for. Now more than ever, the attack on Salman Rushdie boils the blood. You'd blame religion. Sure, it's perfectly true that believing the world was made for us brings out the bullets, bombs, and blades. I say that much to cover up my tracks. God and I are on speaking terms, you see. Does that matter? It happened 6 years back. I blame my Catholic university. I can already hear your celestial verbal slap, which begs the question, are you in heaven or hell? Or neither? I'd love to ask you now, but, well. So things stand at any rate. In truth, I've no regrets. The Bible's a roaring read, believed in, and very beautiful too. There's Ruth, the Song of Solomon, Job, Eve. Next in line is the confessional booth. I'd offer to pray for you, but have my suspicions that since no prayer affected your remission, you'd sooner tell me where to shove it. Oh, Hitch, we could use that now. Each day brings fresh stupidities. Let's see. Oh, that's right, you saw it coming, I dare say. The tanks at present rolling out of Moscow to bombard the European breadbasket, where little children fall asleep in caskets. This recrudescence of barbarity would not, I think, have come as a surprise. You liked Goya, after all. See? Even the most secular must surmise that sin exists, if not seminally, then thanks to ill-evolved prefrontal lobes and big adrenal glands and useless toes. That said, the Ukrainians are fighting fierce, all told. They managed to take Kherson back. Kiev remains defiant. Zelensky's looking old. We've been instructed to pronounce it Kiev. The Russians have cut off gas. The Germans are cold. In Britain, too, we're braced for a chill few months. The clocks are turning back. We check for lumps. It's like we're living in a book by Orwell. Blackouts and rationing are on the cards. Some thoughts are sheer verboten, some compelled. Energy bills have hit the poorest hard. Oranges and lemons say the bells of St. Clement's. Dictators strut with grim bravura. A mustachioed consumptive moves to Jura. But in that much Hitch, your hero, could not have been more different to you, the famously vigorous. No sooner was George in arms than shot clean in the throat. Thereafter he sounded timorous. And Eric Arthur Blair was seldom seen, as you were, at the front of queuing brunettes. Or was it blondes you preferred? I forget. There's more. He was thin and you were fat. His prose was plain, yours a lexical feat. The list goes on, and yet, for all that, on certain points of principle you meet. The power, for instance, of facing unpleasant facts would come in handy now when women are men, and men are women, and 2 + 2 is 10. And presidents non compos mentis struggle to outperform a man with orange skin, and believers in biology are muggles, and words are violence, and the violent win. And childhood gaffes get adults into trouble, and activistic students can determine if the dead white male is good or vermin. Or might you have applauded some of these 21st century developments? You, of all people, would be displeased were thoughts not yours the basis of your judgment by the living. Perhaps you would have seized by some internal logic on the cause to racialize the Constitution's laws. You argued, after all, for reparations, thought Leon Trotsky the quintessential hack, grew misty-eyed at the inauguration of a man you'd call a megalomaniac. I dread to think your thoughts upon taxation. The question, though, is this: would you be woke? Hardly. You drank too much, were Jewish, smoked. What I myself am left with then is this: an Englishman like French Montaigne, replete with contradictions. Your written words were fists in a battle no one ever sees complete. Contra-terrorism's promised bliss, contra bullies, liars, fraudsters, snake oil, contra Iran, contra tinfoil, hats, flat earth, intelligent design, all the idiocies that flesh is heir to. Permit this never-ending pact malign your stances, for you more than others knew what happens to a courage of its time. Events are forgotten and arguments recede, but the sort who made them, the present learns to need.